Willie Green is out. James Borrego is in. The first night of the Borrego era is in the books. The Pelicans fall to the Warriors, 124 to 106. Let's break it down. Let's see what we liked and what we didn't. Is it more things change, the more things stay the same? Or were there actually signs of life? Let's talk about it today on Flock.
Ready?
So g'day everyone and welcome to Flock. I am your host, Lyle Swithenbank, at Lyle Swithenbank on Twitter and on TikTok, at Lyle Pels on Instagram. James Borrego, the interim head coach of the Pelicans after Willie Green is dismissed after 4 years and change. Perhaps overdue. The rumblings that Willie Green was out after 6 games, after Shams had a little graphic that said 0-6. We saw all the rumblings, but for whatever reason, they held on until we were 2-10. And now James Borrego gets thrown to the Wolves with a game against the Warriors, into a second night of a back-to-back against the Thunder, and then into the Denver Nuggets. What a wonderful way to start your charge. Well, we shall see. So, the first game of James Borrego's Pelicans tenure was a tough loss at the hands of the Golden State Warriors, who were visiting the Smoothie King Center, 124 to 106. Now, while I know the last few episodes have been a bit down in the dumps, fire Willie Green, we want James Borrego, we just want change. We want an open-mindedness that perhaps we hadn't seen after the last few years. And we got it, but the result remained the same. However, if you cast your mind back to high school maths, part of the marks that you got is how you got to the answer. Rightly or wrongly, you had to show you're working out. And in this game, the working out was different than what we'd seen with Willie Green. So I still have to give a few good marks despite another tough loss. In this game, the starting lineup changed. We went with Derek Queen, got his first career start, and, the Queen pundits out there screamed for him to start. I mean, analytically and statistically and eye test-wise, has been one of our best players, probably our best centre in terms of his ability to create, in terms of his ability to score, and that offensive hub seems to be the moniker that they're calling him. And so he got his start. We had Trey Murphy, Sadiq Bey, Derek Queen, Herb Jones, Jeremiah Fears. Zion Williamson was promoted to questionable for this game. Went through a warm-up, however the hamstring was still a little bit sore. I'm sure if he's close, perhaps he had to pick between tonight and tomorrow night. And I'd say probably play against the Thunder. We're going to need him probably more against the Thunder than we needed him against this one. And also another night's rest is not going to hurt when you're coming back from a hamstring. So, what we saw is an emphasis on speed and violence. And that's the catchphrase of this James Borrego team. He uses it a lot. It's no longer playing with force. You still have to, but it's playing at pace, it's moving the ball, it's letting the ball move faster than the players, and making sure that it continues to have energy as it gets passed around. Getting up in transition, defending hard, and then running. Getting lots of threes up as well. I think what we saw was a bit of a, let's see what is working, what isn't, who's going to be in this rotation and who's not. Because he went all the way down the line. The guys that didn't play in this one, DeAndre Jordan, Kevon Looney surprisingly didn't play at all, and Micah Peavy only played 4 minutes, came in towards the end of the game. We did see Bryce McGowan's for a significant time, actually nearly 13 minutes, which was interesting for our two-way guy getting a run. But these guys, he had to put his own fingerprints on it, right? You don't come in and do the same thing and just expect it to change. We talked about that definition of insanity is doing the same thing and hoping for a different result. So you had to mix it up. What we really focused on, it looked like, was taking away Steph Curry. He'd been fantastic the last few games. Tick, I think, mission success on limiting Steph Curry. The difficulty is we then let the other shooters get going. Moses Moody, 8 threes in the first half, 7 in the first quarter, and every time you did something right, he would hit another 3, and they were wide open, right? They ended up scoring 44 points in the first quarter. Really difficult start, and a lot of it was based off turnovers. Live ball turnovers, trying to do what James Borrego wants them to do. Move the ball, advance the ball, and there's the old adage, go fast, but don't rush. And when you're at that situation, and you're being told, go fast, move with pace, create for others, advance the ball, there are going to be situations where the idea is great, the execution is poor. And we saw a lot of that tonight. In fact, I think we had around 20 turnovers, which you just can't have, right? You're not going to win any games of basketball, despite the Warriors having 18 or something as well. We'll get to the official stats in a second. What I did like was the response. All right, Moses Moody's killing us. We've got to own in on that. Let's get these guys off the three-point line. And in fact, the second quarter, 17-21 in favour of the Pelicans. You manage to stop the Warriors. You managed to disrupt what they wanted to do. They thought, well, hang on, we're blowing them out early. Get all the way out to 14, 15, 16 points. We drag it right back. And in fact, got back within 3 points in that third quarter before, unfortunately, succumbing to the greatness that the Warriors are and losing. So the middle two quarters were quite low scoring. Third quarter again, 24-22. We came out the gate slow, managed to drag it back with a bit of effort and elbow grease, and only lost that quarter by 2. But then lost the last quarter 35-39, where it opened right back up again. The threes started piling up, and it was sort of downhill for the Warriors. And a lot of it was the fact that they just kept making threes, and we just weren't able to do that. I mean, having a look at the stats, which we love to do, from the field, 45% to them, 0.7 to 45.8%. But they had 94 shots and we had 83. So you've already got 11 more attempts. You've made 5 more shots, and probably half of them are threes. You've already put yourself up against it before you even get going. And that's second chance options. That's not turning the ball over. It's turning the ball over, but it goes to dead ball, or it's getting back in transition defense. And all those things were contributing factors to the loss tonight. 3-pointers, they were 42% from 3, but that is 24 of 56. They took 56 3-point attempts, and golly gosh, nearly hit half of them. That is so difficult to stop when you're only going to answer with 8 threes yourself on 29 attempts at 27%. 3 is more than 2. You could have gone and scored on every possession that they had. They still, in response, and they still would have beaten you just purely because of the amount of threes that they were raining down. And they kept putting guys in a position to make them. And when we dared guys, unfortunately, they went in. So it was a little bit of a catch-22. Yep, the scout says let that guy shoot. Oh, he's hit the 3 as well. So then you start overreacting, and they made it difficult for us. Draymond Green, as much as I don't like the guy, I thought played a great game. He played as a free safety, they were calling him in the broadcast, managing to interrupt everything that we wanted to do. He just takes space up. He knows exactly how to make sure he's not getting that defensive 3 seconds. He's managing, to bracket guys, trap them on the baseline, recover, stop swings. He's managing to rotate across on defense. And, man, It was really tough. It was tough on both ends tonight. Free throws 17 to 29. We actually had 29 free throw attempts. We played in the paint. We attacked downhill. Finishing was poor. Free throw shooting, we left 7 on the table, 22 of 29 to their 14 of 17. So you were getting the shots. It wasn't there the refs in this one. We played exactly how we should have played, downhill and with pace. But it was also that easy ones you were missing, and you leave some free throws on the table. Again, you hit all your free throws. Say you hit another 5 of them. Well, that means you only lose by 24, but only by 14. Pardon. Assists 34 to 22. At one point, I think it was in the third quarter, we had 13 assists to 18 turnovers. You can't have that. You just can't. You can't have more turnovers than assists and expect to win. 34 assists is massive on 43 made shots. That's ball movement. That's putting other players in a position to be successful. It's unselfish basketball. Should we ever want to compete with these teams, you can't let it be easy for them, and you also need to pass yourselves. You need to keep players accountable. Isolation plays directly into the hands of these defenses. So, rebounding, we lost 47 to 45, and that is offensively. We even lost the offensive rebounds in this one, 16 to 15 to 31 to 30 in favour of Golden State. For defensive rebounds, steals 14 to 11 in favour of them. Fast break points, they had 21. 21 to our 14, and that is on 20 turnovers for us and 21 for them. So you actually win the turnover battle. But we talk about this live ball turnover, the inability to contain, when you turn it over, making sure that it goes out of bounds. It's a dead ball you can set your defense on, making sure you're in a position that you're not taking wild transition passes. There was one, we did all the hard work, and then Herb advanced it and threw it behind. It might have been Trey, and it went out of bounds. And it completely killed the momentum. I don't fault him for trying it, but it has to be a 100 pass. You're throwing it in transition, completely diagonally across the court, across 2 of them, and the guy's already trying to move. You're making it tough on yourself. So that was a little bit frustrating at times, and you actually saw James Borrego just shake his head and slap the table. He was not impressed at all. Points off turnovers, 27 to 20. So they turned our 20 into 27. We turned their 21 into 20. So, again, transition baskets and getting back in defense and live ball versus dead ball turnovers. There was a clever moment in the last quarter, or it might have been the third quarter, where Yves Missi was out-rebounded. He could only get one hand to it, and instead of just letting them get the rebound and run, he slapped it out of bounds. Yes, it would have been preferable to just secure the rebound, but he had one arm free. By slapping it out of bounds, he was in the worst position. It meant that they could all go and set up. They didn't score on that possession because it was while it was an inability to secure the offensive rebound, you've then killed the play, and you've gone back and been able to set up on defense. I have no issue with the ball going out of bounds. Obviously, to a degree, you don't just want to do it on every possession, but if you were killing the play, then you have an opportunity to then be ready at the other end. And it's not going to work every time, but live ball turnovers are killers. Missing layups is a killer. There was a fast break after fast break. We missed the layup. Maybe one guy steps in, or we don't attack quite as hard as we could, and then they throw it up and you get easy layups out the other end. There was probably 5, 6, 7 instances of that in this game, and it was just disappointing to see the execution phase of the plan not come to fruition. And that's the disappointing part of it, because this was a gettable game, to be fair. I think we really could have been better than we did, particularly with the way that we want to play. The problem was this one was on the players, and the plan wasn't executed. Again, you've had 36 hours since the change. You've had half a training, and most of it was talking, is what James Borrego's talked about in his press conferences. there's not much you can do. We're going to have to slowly bring this along. And yeah, it is a different shift to how we've played before. I quite like watching the basketball. It wasn't our best game, but I could see the vision. And that's enough for me. We might get halfway through the season and say, okay, I've seen the vision now, like do the thing. But after one game, it's very difficult to cast judgment, I think. So we'll go over to the box score. Trey Murphy with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 6 of 13, 2 of 6 from 3. Hit his 6 free throws, 5 turnovers. Again, they are making Trey create. They are pressuring him into making decisions, and if he can't execute it, it turns into a turnover. His scoring's been fine. 6 of 13, it's right on his average. You prefer it to be a little bit higher, hit some more shots. Again, the amount of pressure that is on Trey to do everything has exposed him at times. And that's just a reality thing. Scoring's been fine. What do you have? 41, 36, 20. He's doing what he can. He's getting a couple of assists. His rebounding's been fantastic. This is not a knock on Trey because he's shouldering the load. But those turnovers are going to be killers, right? And having to be that creator, that's probably the next step for him in that development, is being able to create for others and knowing that he's starting to get the gravity as well. But we shall see how that all transpires. Sadiq Bey had 11, 7, 1. Oh, that's 7 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals. 4 of 10 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 2 turnovers. Everyone except Hawkins and McGowan's and Peavy had a turnover. It says a lot. And only Peavy was a positive, and he only played 4 minutes. So what are you going to do? All the rest were negatives. Derek Queen, 9, 7, 6, and 2 of 4. He didn't shoot much in this one. He hit his 5 of 6 free throws. Look, he wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. He probably didn't play as much as he had been, 28 minutes. Maybe that's because he's going to play a fair bit on the second night of the back-to-back, and also you're down by X amount. You don't really want to burn the guy out this early. He played 24 minutes, sorry. But yeah, continuing to create, continuing to stuff the stat sheet. There are learning curves. He's going to play against different players. Draymond Green is a hard guy to play against. Then you were rotating out onto Post, who's a completely different player again. They have a very unique team. Al Horford's another guy. You're out on the perimeter versus, battling down in the paint. They don't really go through their big men for offense. It's all guard-driven. So you're not really having to guard these guys quite as hard as you probably have in other games. Herb Jones, 28. He had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals. I thought he had a good game. They gave him a minus 22, but the work he put into Steph Curry was, second to none. He was everywhere. He was getting hands in the passing lanes. A lot of that stuff's not going to show up on the stat sheet. I thought he was good. He did his job. Stats, unfortunately, don't agree with that. But, the eye test sometimes shows who's really good. Jeremiah Fears with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block. He had 7 of 14 shooting. Only missed 1 free throw. Hit 3 of 4. Had 4 turnovers. Again, there's a lot of expectation on a 19-year-old to run this offense, to play with pace. He's been given the keys and told to run. He did that, but there were rookie mistakes. Again, you're 12 games into your career. Do I expect you to be perfect? No. The next step for him, again, is the passing, the finishing transition, the shooting. But we're in chapter 1 of Jeremiah Fears, and I see, a whole novel behind it. I think he's going to be fantastic. Jose was great off the bench. He played a really good game. And it was actually quite notable in the post-game interview. He was sitting in the locker room, and they asked him about Willie Green being fired, and he was, quite tempered about it. I think all the guys that have been interviewed, of course, you're not going to be like, yeah, hooray, but we forget that this is the only coach these guys have had in the NBA. Trey, Herb, Jose, these guys all came through in 2021, where Willie Green was there. So, all they've had is him. And the difficulty of that is that, you build a connection with him. It's not that he was a bad guy. It was just time for a change. And I think the sentiment across the Pels fandom, and I don't speak on behalf of everyone, but I don't think anyone ever criticised him as a person. And if they did, well, they probably overstepped, because from all reports, Willie Green was a great guy. But things change, and teams move on from coaches all the time, and 4 years is quite a long shelf life for a coach that hasn't really won much. So, we move. But it was interesting to see Jose sort of say, he was the guy that took a chance on me, and now JB is as well, which is great. So we continue to see Jose. He had 18 points, a rebound, 3 assists, 6 of 12. He did Jose things. He shot quite well, had 4 turnovers, but only a -1 on this one, which is basically the second best on ground behind Peavy. The only guy that was close to even with significant minutes. So I think he's going to be really important as well. He's going to continue to push the pace. He's going to get open looks, so he's going to have to make them. And we'll see him push this second unit, I guess. Eve played 24, 8, 7, 2, a steal and a block, 4 of 8. Played good minutes, played well. He runs the floor like a gazelle. He's really, really handy. And it looks like he's firmly in that rotation. Currently, we'll still see, but it looked like they want to play the young guys who are going to run. Lyle was the same. He played 20-odd minutes, 20 minutes and 1 second. 4 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. And it looks like JB wants to run. That's why we've got these young guys playing. They're athletic. Him and Eve, and Derek Queen, they want to get out in transition. They want to run, and I think that's why Kevon Looney didn't play. He's probably also going to be pretty important tomorrow against these guys, but perhaps you're not playing this guy because he can't keep up. And we've talked about that. He's looked a bit slow and lumbering, which is really difficult when you want to play an up-tempo game style. We also saw Jordan Hawkins for nearly 15 minutes, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Hit a 3, 1 of 5. It's fine, probably one of his better games. He was coming off screens and shooting it. Still airballed a couple. I don't know how you get the confidence back in that guy, but he needs it, something chronic. Bryce McGowan's, I don't know if it's a season debut. I suppose not. Probably earlier on in the game it is, rather than at the end of the games. He had 8 points and a rebound and a steal. I thought he was all right. I thought he played with pace. He played like a guy that was fighting for his spot, and I had no issues with that. I thought Bryce was good. And Peavy with the 4 minutes did no scoring, 1 rebound, 1 assist. He was perfectly fine. So, what did we take from this game? Well, what we saw was an up-tempo game and game plan. We saw a coach who, in the post-game and pre-game, gives proper, considered basketball answers. He said what his expectations are. He said what his intentions are. Being intentional with your words resonates not only with your team, but also with the fandom. I understand what you were trying to do. Did we execute it? Not entirely. But I understand what you want to do, and it's playing with pace, it's playing with speed and violence, it's getting out in transition, it's shooting threes, it's getting up the court early, and it's playing with pace and not rushing. And creating for others, being unselfish with the ball, letting the ball move faster than the players. I think based on his previous experience, he's going to have a whole heap of corner threes that are going to get opened up, but it takes time to implement those things. So I can't really fault what he did. He was a feeling out game. He knows what Kevon Looney is. He knows what DeAndre Jordan is, and he knows, what Peavy is essentially. He's going to be a 3-and-D guy, but he's probably behind Sadiq Bey, Herb Jones, and Trey in terms of those wing positions. That being said, he's continuing to work out, and I don't think any of these rotations are set. We'll probably see a whole heap of different minute distribution tomorrow as well when they take on the Thunder. So, looking forward to seeing what happens there. Now, I just want to finish off by, acknowledging that Willie Green had some really good moments with this team. The "you got to fight Pelicans" is one of the iconic moments in Pelicans history. That game against the Clippers, where we were down by 10 at three-quarter time, he said that speech, and I know it was years ago now. That team started 1-12, 3-14. It was awful. We were in the doldrums. Spaces was born. You know, a whole heap of characters that you know and love now grew from that very platform. And we managed to make the play-in. There are 70 games to go. 69 games to go. And what you can't have is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's going to take time. Yes, we're probably going to be fighting uphill again tomorrow. We're going to be fighting uphill again against Denver. But each day, they have to bank their days, continue to implement what they want to implement, and as Trey said, don't give up. And I saw that tonight, is that the guys kept fighting. You watched Moses Moody go nuclear. You did what your game plan said in terms of stopping Steph Curry, and you got beaten by the other guys. Sometimes that's basketball. And if you tidy up some of the turnovers and you get your finishing a little bit better and you shoot more than 8 threes, well, who knows? You might have been in for a fighting chance. But we'll see how this plays out. We really will. So, all in all, we appreciate Willie Green for his service. Welcome James Borrego. The new era starts. I don't celebrate the downfall of someone else. I think James Borrego talked about it perfectly. He said, I still have scars from Charlotte when he was fired in the middle of the season or towards the end of the season. It's not an easy thing that these people, this is a dream that these people have had. This is a career that they've worked towards day in, day out to be one of 30 in the world. I don't wish for anyone's downfall, and I wish Willie Green all the best. But now it is time to get back to basketball. The distractions are away. You know, the injuries are what they are. Now it's time to focus on getting JB up to speed. And thankfully he's got those existing relationships. Get through this season. Hopefully do something, because we've got no first round pick. And we'll just let the cards fall where they may. Alright. That being said, this has been Flock, a New Orleans Pelicans podcast. I am your host, Lyle Swithenbank, at Lyle Swithenbank on Twitter and on TikTok, and at Lyle Pels on Instagram. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, put something in the comment if you want. What do you want to see from this JB offense? Any thoughts on today's game? I'd love to hear from you guys. And otherwise, stay safe, and bye for now.